What's up, guys? Mr. Lee Raymond here, and welcome back to the episode number one, or the first proper episode of the World Domination series. So, as you guys saw in the introduction, this will be the only series between now and FM25, unless I complete it, which I very much doubt, or I just kind of lose interest, basically. So, as I said, I'm going to explain a bit more in this episode, and hopefully, I will get a team in this episode. But basically, the aim of the game is to win every single trophy in every single country on the game, all playable leagues or non-playable countries, except Comoros, as for some reason they don't have, as far as I'm aware, unless it's changed from previous ones, they don't have a league. Yeah, that's the only one in the world that doesn't. But that means there still is 200 countries to try and win trophies in. And yeah, we are starting in Oceania just because it's small country wise. Not the smallest continent, that would be South America with 10. Um, then you've got Oceania with 15. The main reason I'm starting in Oceania is because, well, over half the countries in South America are actually playable um, at the start of the actual game, and the Oceania ones they're not, and it will be a lot quicker, hopefully, to get through. And also, I don't think there's as many trophies. So I always start with Oceania, and I will, when I go to other continents, I always start with teams or countries that are not playable at the start. Basically, the ones that are playable at the start are always the last ones to be done, which is normally all right until you get to Europe, where you bear in mind over half the countries are playable from the start, I believe, or might be close to half anyway. And well, South America's over half as well if you think about it, but there's only 10, so it's not too bad. But yep, um, as I said, we are starting in Oceania. The playable countries are Kiribati, Micronesia, Tuvalu, and Wallis and Futuna. There is one league technically missing from Tuvalu, which is the B division. However, that B division is full of basically all of these guys B division or B teams. So there's no point. You can't go up and you can't go down. So to be quite frank, there's no point actually starting with that division. So in this episode, the main thing is we're going to get a team to manage. I don't mind where I start. The reason I picked these four first up, as I said in the intro, is down to the fact that none of these leagues are able to qualify for continental competition. So basically, any clubs or any countries that don't qualify for continental competition is where I start. Get them out of the way, as their winning leagues and stuff isn't huge because there's no reward apart from the trophy cabinet. So I did think of there was a couple of other nations, but it turns out there isn't. There could be a load more depending on whether I can get a certain competition sorted in CONCACAF. I think I might have that, but we're not going to worry about that too much until after Oceania. Don't really know where I'm going to go after Oceania, but we'll figure it out when we get to it. So, like trophy wise, Oceania is one of the smallest. I know it's got five more divisions than like South America. However, it's quite small. Bearing in mind the only continental competition in Oceania is the Champions League or the O League. So yeah, this is where I always start. So just go over some rules that I kind of I say rules, but some things I go by. First of all, as you can see, I am unemployed. That's the main one, really. I always start unemployed and the lowest possible stats. So it's no um, licenses and Sunday league footballers. So there's nothing there. And yeah, I basically start unemployed. Some of the other things are there's not. I mean, there's not really too much to be honest. apart from the fact that when I win, if I complete a country, i.e., I win all the trophies in that country, I actually go and remove the league from it just to kind of speed up um, getting through it, basically. Um, what else is there? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Um, I think that's about it, to be honest. There was one. There kind of was one which I kind of dropped in recent years, which is I mostly spend 5 years in a country, and then if I don't win everything in those 5 years, I move on. But I also will not go back to that country until I've been on all the other countries. Don't think I'm really going to live by that this year unless it's not, unless it's looking like I'm getting nowhere near it. Maybe I'll move on. Um, but yeah, I think that's really about it. There were some other rules I used to have. I think maybe the other one really is that, which could be a bit of a controversial one, was that if I win a trophy, but there's other trophies to win. So, for example, let's go Tuvalu here. If I was to win, say, the A division, but I don't win some of the cups, I actually skip the A division. So I basically go on holiday for all of those and just come back for the cups. If I win a cup, I skip the cup games and come back for and only play the league games. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, this isn't the biggest file anyway, as there's only four. I don't have very big files just to make sure I can get through them, or it's quite quick to be fair. So after this, there's 11, um, what you call it, 11 other countries in Oceania, and I'll split them into two more files. So I did used to have Oceania as just one big file, but I think when I did that, it took me about 100 years to do it. I think what also kind of wasn't helping was the fact I wasn't removing leaks, so it was taking a lot longer than usual. But yeah, that is most of the details really on this one. So what we'll do is we'll get into the job market. Normally, I'm not really too fussed where I start. I will have maybe places in mind. For example, here, I really want to start in Tuvalu just because of the fact that, as we saw earlier, they've got the most trophies. You've got Kiribati on with one, Micronesia, even though it looks like it's two, it's actually one. Same as Wallis and Futuna, that's only one. And Tuvalu, you've got five. So get the biggest one out of the way first, hopefully. We've and I used to, when I first started doing this, basically I would start load up the file, go on holiday, apply for all the jobs, and then when it automatically brought me off of holiday when I got offered a job interview, I'd go from there. However, I found that because it's quite low level, the majority of the time I was getting about 20 even to maybe even 30 job offers, depending on how many was available. So what I now do is a little bit of a rule now I've kind of added in is I go on holiday for 2 weeks, and then when I come back, that's when I start to apply for jobs because there shouldn't be too many. However, I mean, there's not too that bad actually, to be fair. So we're going to go here. We're going to go with Tuvalu A Division first, as always. So we have, I think, it's Happy United. I think that's how you say it. Um, so that's where we're going first. I have, hopefully, if this has worked yet, I have added players in to it to make it a little bit easier. So we won't be applying for them because there's nothing to apply for. Same for Naughty as well, so that's kind of awkward already. That's probably what I get for going on holiday for 2 weeks. We got Kiribati, Wallis and Futuna, and that's it actually. Is oh no, Micronesia's there as well. I'm blind basically. I think what I'll do is I'll go Kiribati. Um, that's the one with the most teams, from what I could see. So we've got obviously we've got Kiribati with that many teams, and then literally all the others is about half that. So, so yeah. So what we'll do is we'll apply for Quite we'll kind of I would say we'll apply for every single one, but I don't think there's any point. Don't really know who to apply for, so yeah, just kind of doing that. We'll go with let's just go with the top couple. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So we'll go with top couple. Good, we can at least apply for these. So we'll just apply for one because they've gone available. But what I'll do is, guys, is I will actually kind of pause here and come back when I've got interviews. I will do the interviews because we all know it's generic interviews, so no one really needs to see that. So I will actually come back when I actually have a team. So I will see you guys in a second. Right, and guys, as you can see, we are back after what felt like about 2 weeks, I think, to be honest. Um, I applied for every job in Kiribati, even though you saw me apply for three. Because the fact two of them were unsuccessful straight away, I decided to apply for all of them. And in the end, there was only about six that actually I was able to apply for. So we had three job interviews with these guys, Tamana, Tabaran, I think you ever say that, and Onatoa, and the guys that have come in straight away are Tobaran. So we're going to accept those guys. And basically, most of it is just to strive to get off and on the pitch, basically, and be competitive in the Kiribati National Championship. So we'll just carry on. As you can see, not much there. Played the national. I think all games were in the national stadium. So they expect me to actually reach the playoff. So that's a bit more than what was initially said. No, not initially said. On the bit I read, so I was reading the wrong bit, obviously. So we do have a decent squad, at least. Um, but yeah, so basically with Kiribati, as I said, I've done this before, so I know what I'm doing pretty much. So we have four groups. You play each team twice before qualifying for the knockout stages of the thing. And to be fair, the person who's done these files actually has given some money to go towards stuff, even though I don't think that's going to make much difference, to be honest. Because the moment we win all the trophies in that country, we leave. The only time we don't is maybe if we have a cup game before the end of the season. We have couple of league games to go. We'll finish that season basically, and then we move on. But like I said, we also will go for continental and international tournaments. So that includes the O League. And normally, what I do is once I have done everything, no, I'll rephrase that. And what I would normally do is that I do not move on to the next continent until I've actually won everything, which includes internationals. Now, it sounds obvious, but sometimes you could skip across. Now, when you do internationals, I will only take charge of, and this is another rule, to kind of how I do it. So I don't know if you'd say prolong it, but to make it more like fair, is that I will only take charge of countries in the continent I'm playing in. So basically, in this one, if I was to take charge of any national team, international team, I will only take charge of oceanic teams. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I don't think I'll take charge of anybody here, in this one, because it's not going to be. I may not have that much of a reputation with the small four, and it's also the fact there's no continental, so I may not get noticed by other ones apart from these four. And these four, I don't think even take part in international. Actually, in international tournaments, I will need to check that. Not that it makes much of a difference. The only international ones are Nations Cup, which I know they don't take part in. The only one they might do is the Pacific Games. Uh, so no, they don't. They don't even take part in that. So basically, once I've won once I've completed all four nations, that's it. We are done. Now I'm done rambling on. So apologies for the length of it. But what we will do in the next episode, we'll go into a bit more detail about the club, and we will also play our first game, which will actually be in 3 weeks' time against Tamana, one of the other clubs I actually went for. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, that is it for this episode, guys. Leave some likes, leave some comments, subscribe, and as always, take a steady.